Oh, it's Matthew again. PartyInfowars.com Paul Revere contest. Today we're going to talk about illusions. You know, those little frames of mind that we have that are either true or false. We're going to talk about the false ones. Some illusions that we live under are harmless. Like if you believe that the earth is round and revolves around the sun and, you know, the whole solar system and makeup of the universe as we think we know it. Whether you believe that or that we're riding through space on the back of some magical turtle, either one is okay with me. Those are kind of harmless because they don't really involve anyone else. A lot of illusions that we suffer under are harmful, though, because we use them to impose our will upon other people. You know, if you're not living in reality, you can do great harm to even yourself and those around you. We use them to trespass and steal throughout the society. We hang on to these illusions because they make us feel safe and secure. And that some of them allow us to believe that we're loving, kind, wonderful people, you know. God bless me and the things I do kind of attitudes. But we're going to talk about them. I'm going to go through the stages we go through when illusions start to break up in our mind. You know, we see something that changes our belief. A lot of times we get angry. And for that reason, probably a lot of people will think I'm a worthless SOB for saying some of the things I'm going to. You know, it's just a denial and anger. Because like I say, it's breaking them out of that comfort zone they were in. For either safety's sake or the warm fuzziness they were feeling because of their beliefs. But people get angry. Then when it's just blatantly obvious, it seems like people get depressed. They think, well, if that was baloney, then I gotta change everything I believe in. And you know, what do you start looking at doubting everything else? What else is baloney out there? But after the depression, anger depression, then there's this kind of state of acceptance. You know, and it seems like you can make the decision to either stay in that kind of depressed state, or you can begin to take action. You know, once you start to see reality, you should feel empowered, because now you can make correct decisions about things and get on with your life. Anyway, the first illusion I was going to go through is that of the military. A standing army. You know, I did the whole Gulf War thing, and I'll be the first to tell you, there isn't anything I did or anyone I know did for anybody's freedom in that whole thing. That's complete baloney. When you step into uniform, someone else in this society must feed you, clothe you, provide for your shelter, provide for all that military garb you were running around in, provide for your health care, provide for your retirement, everything. Someone else must do that for you because you can't produce economically. That's not what militaries do. Militaries spend. They do not produce. And in return, nobody gets freedom. I, for one, have never been free. I mean, since I was a little kid, I was given a number. Government has to know who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, how much money I'm making, whether or not I have kids or am married. I have to pay for everything I do, and everything is regulated. I have no doubt in my mind, we are the most regulated, watched, governed society in the history of the world. All that talk about freedom is complete baloney. I've also never had political representation. Never. Regardless of whether I vote, regardless of who I vote for, none of them have ever ended up representing me. And in fact, doodle, I live in a country that doesn't do anything I want it to. But insists that I pay for all of it. They call it my fair share, even though most of it's not done on my behalf. So anyway, we pay for you, and we do not get freedom or anything in return. And in fact, what freedoms I have right now, what few I have, aren't due to the military. They're due to my gun right here. That's right, I and 90 million other gun owners stand between what we have now and total oppression. And when the time comes, they'll use the military on the American people. They already have. Waco, Ruby Ridge, Wounded Knee in the 70s there. Military was there for all of it. Katrina, even though they're supposed to know better, they're there oppressing the people, aren't they? And I'm talking to law enforcement also. You know, is that whole Greece when they had their big riots and stuff? Who was there to preserve the status quo? But law enforcement. That's right, that's what you do. You work on behalf of government. To preserve the politicians, you preserve the whole government infrastructure. Those people could have been free by now, but you stood in the way. So anyway, I'd also like to mention China, Russia, all those other foreign countries. I mean, you think the Chinese military, the PLA, is there to preserve everybody's freedom? You think that's what they do? That's what they tell everybody, though, isn't it? And it's the same baloney thing in all of them. Now, if you need a job, I don't blame you at all for going into the military and trying to support yourself and your family. But don't tell me I benefit from it. That's complete bunk. And you know better, and I know better, and hopefully a lot of people out there are starting to understand better. Now we're going to talk about democracy. Democracy is the biggest load of bull you've ever heard. We can all see how a monarchy, a dictatorship, or some kind of fascist state is oppressive. One guy telling everybody else how to live their life. But you know, it's the same thing in a democracy. It's just that we all get to play dictator now, don't we? We all get to tell each other how to live their life, your neighbor's life. You know what I'm saying? You know, we get together with our friends and maybe we don't like the way you raise your kids. So we call up a politician and we say, well, there ought to be a law. Somebody ought to do something. And politicians are always pandering towards re-election, aren't they? And so they do it. I mean, you may get to play your turn at some point, but it's all still just this oppressive mentality. Constitution-wise, I've never heard it mention democracy at all. Article 4, Section 4, though, says, Congress shall guarantee to the states a republican form of government. What is a republic? Well, you know, in a monarchy or dictatorship, sovereignty resides within, like, one individual. They make the law, they tell everybody else how to live their lives. In a democracy, sovereignty resides within the popular vote, the majority. In a republic, though, sovereignty resides within the individual. I don't know if you can have a modern society like we have that's completely republic, but it can be a lot better than it is now. I mean, if you want freedom, you have to start granting other people their own space. to raise their kids, to live the way they want. If it doesn't affect you, mind your own damn business. And then they respect you in turn, and then we all become free. But this democracy thing is complete bunk. And I think people are hopefully waking up to that fact. You look at a chaotic government in Iraq that we gave them, yay. Every problem you see in Iraq, we have the same thing. We have corrupt government all over the place. We have abusive government all over the place. It breeds inefficiency because everybody's trying to get their 10 cents in towards whatever topic we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's democracy. Horribly inefficient. The thing that people perceive as freedom and prosperity here in America isn't our political system. It's the result of fiat currency. When we have a problem, we can print up money to throw at it. Everything here is grotesquely inefficient for that reason. We've just been throwing money at it instead of making effective change. The popular decision is more often than not the right decision or the correct decision. You know what I'm saying? Democracy is like those of you with kids. If you let them vote for what's dinner every night, well, guess what? You're going to eat a lot of spaghetti and ice cream all the time. Because that's what they like. That's what they want. It's not what's good for them, though, is it? It's not what's prudent. I forget who said it, but there's no easier way to convince people they're free than to give them the right to vote. And that's the illusion. That because you can choose who's going to oppress you, that somehow now you're free. So this whole democracy thing, this whole voting thing, it's baloney. I personally don't think anybody that gets a government check should be allowed to vote. Because what you're doing is allowing them to vote for more checks. That's right, you're giving them the power to spend somebody else's money. Nobody should have that power. Republic, we can have a republic. To a great degree. We can leave each other the hell alone. You know, the Constitution had forms of taxation and just overall government conduct and restrictions that allowed us to live like that. Another point I wanted to make on that matter was some Egyptian guy was on like National Public Radio or something, and they want a democracy where the majority rule, but there are guarantees for individuals, minority individuals. I have bad news for you, buddy. If the majority decide that you don't need a certain freedom, well, then you're not going to have it. They will take it away, and you're more or less powerless to stop them. So if you're fighting for democracy, you're fooling yourself. You're trading the oppressor you know, your dictator, for the oppressor you don't know. And that's the guy across the street and his little friend, who decide, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't own a dog for some reason. Who knows? People will nitpick at anything. But democracy gives them the ability to dictate over your life. And it's complete, and that's not freedom. You'll never be free, like I say, until you grant your neighbor the freedom, the space to be who they are. So long as it's not affecting you, it's none of your business. Democracy, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to go into the economy a little bit. The concept that we're somehow a prosperous nation. I gotta dig some change out of my pocket here. There's 50 cents. A couple quarters. You know, 100 years ago, 100 plus, this would have been gold and silver. Now it's just tin. So over the course of this years, we've spent the intrinsic value of our currency. Back when McDonald's came out with the Big Mac, I think it was. Shoot, back in the 50s? Yeah. A Big Mac, fries, and a milkshake was 35 cents. You know, now you couldn't touch that for 10 bucks probably. So we've spent the intrinsic value, we've spent the numeric value of our currency. Above and beyond even that, we've borrowed, privately, I think, 12 trillion. Public debt to the Federal Reserve's 16, 17 trillion. Another foreign bondholders, there's like another 4 trillion. We've promised out tens, I've heard sometimes hundreds of trillions. That's real debt. That's real money, whatever you want to call it, that went to pay for real things. People built houses for that. We built bridges. We built dams. We built, you know, whatever infrastructure. We used that money to benefit us. We fed ourselves with that money. If you took out, you know, the intrinsic and numeric values, probably incalculable. There's no way to tell how many trillions of dollars we've lost through inflation and whatnot. But if you just took the 16, the 12 private, and the foreign bonds, there's 30 trillion. I'll be generous. Let's just take $10 trillion. Look out the frickin' window and imagine America minus $10 trillion worth of everything. Buildings, roads, airplanes, houses, cars. What would there really be out there? For generations now, we have been not a hard-working, prosperous country. We have been a country that's borrowed against our wealth, against our true wealth. We've borrowed, we've gone into debt. You know, not to mention slavery, both foreign and domestic. You know, foreign aid doesn't really go to give people food and stuff. What you see in a foreign aid country is people, what it is a corporate subsidy. We give whoever it is 20 trillion or 20 billion, whatever. They buy goods from us, or they're expected to, aren't they? I mean, arms and food and whatever. They're expected to buy that from us. It's all this foreign aid that makes us look warm and fuzzy. It's really just corporate subsidy for the people here in America. And then the slave labor. Slave labor is what I started to talk about. Slave labor. You go to some third world country where everybody's making 10 cents an hour, eating twice a day, working 12 hours a day for it. And you see the police and the military there with all new shiny American equipment, don't you? That's right. They're paid to oppress those people and keep them in line. So, once again, international corporations can benefit from that. Anyway, when the bottom finally falls out of this, I think we're going to go back economically to where we started before we started to devalue, you know what I'm saying, through inflation and whatnot. Probably like a late 1800s, early 1900 type economy. That's what I think. I'm in my mid-40s now, but you know what? I feel freaking awesome. You know, just been working out. I cleared up my own health. I got rid of issues that had troubled me since childhood. After the Gulf War, I got sick. I figured, you know, if government made me ill, why go to like the VA or another section of government to get better? What sense does that make? I had to get rid of the illusion that the medical community is there to make you well. The fact of the matter is that they don't make any money off of you unless you're sick. If you're dead, you're no good, and if you're healthy, you're no good to them. So what they do is they design the whole thing to make you sick for a long period of time. That way they can milk money out of you for the duration, you know what I'm saying? But once you get past the illusion, like I say, then you see things for what they are. Then you can make correct decisions towards your own benefit. Then you can get better health-wise, mentally, spiritually, your relationships, once you get past all the baloney and see things for what they truly are. Then all of that improves. You take control of all of that. Which brings me to the last point I wanted to make, and that is this physical being. It turns out we are not that at all. We are soul. You don't have a soul, you are one. You know, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Vishnu, Osiris, Zoroaster, Baha'u'llah, all the Ekmasters, whoever you're reading into, they're all simply trying to convince you that you are not this physical being, that you are the spark within. And once you realize that, once you start to realize that, then all of this physical garb, all of the outdoors, the turmoil that goes on in here, or out here, all of the relationship turmoil, you know, the soap opera that is our life, all of this abusive government stuff, all of the negative forces in this entire universe, this plane of existence, they're all designed to make you focus your attention back on the physical. You know, as long as you're focusing on the physical, then you're going to worry about money. You're going to worry about having a bigger truck, bigger boobs. You're going to worry about sex versus love, you know what I'm saying? And that's what happens when you focus on spirit. Now other things come into play. Now freedom's important. The freedom of verbal expression, of physical expression. The freedom to create. Now all of that has much more significance. Because that is a reflection of who you truly are. One last point I wanted to make was it was an insurance commercial a few years ago. They handled like 10,000 claims a day, flawlessly. But it wasn't about doing 10,000 claims all at once. It was about your claim, specifically. Handling it start to finish, doing that one claim flawlessly, and repeating it 10,000 times a day. And that's the deal. It's all about you. All of this. All of nature, all of government, all of this whole soap opera BS thing we call life. All of the people in your life, your wife, your children, your neighbors, they are all supporting actors in your life. The focus is about you. And you alone. And then the process is repeated umpteen bazillion times for every soul in existence. You know what I'm saying? But it's about you. Who are you being right now? What are you doing? What are you trying to become? You know what I'm saying? It's about you need to get into action and improve your state of being, to improve your happiness, your freedom. And once the individual is activated, other spirits will see that activated person. I think they'll see the happiness and they'll see the power and strength and love within that individual. And they'll say to themselves, you know, I want some of that. And then they'll start to act. But it has to begin with you. Good luck.